Oh, yeah, yeah. Perfect. So we're a performance apparel brand based out of Boston. We make men's and women's wear out of performance materials, taking a lot of the principles you'd expect out of outdoor and athletic gear, but styling it for the work week. There we go. So the features that we really focus on is four-way stretch, moisture management, wrinkle resistance, machine washability. So these are all products that they're made to be wear to work. They're perfect for business travel, but it's all about bringing that comfort. And it's premised on this idea that we've had all this comfort in athletic wear, and it's relegated just to that hour of the day. And we started to see it kind of move into our casual wear, what we wear on the couch, but never what you can wear on that red-eye flight from San Francisco to New York. So we make a variety of different products, from blazers to shirts to pants, men's and women's wear, but it's all really built on those core principles. It works. So we've actually tested our product in some extreme situations. We actually did a little stunt where we ran the Guinness World Record for the fastest half marathon in a suit for men and women. That's my fiance over there. So she set the women's record, and she's really putting it to the test and took one for the team there. But it goes to this principle of, how can we take these materials and this performance and really show that it works in real life? And in this case, this is a great kind of experience, activation. But how do we bring that to other platforms? And that's what I wanted to talk about today. And I know some of you guys are probably wondering, what's with the name? A lot of you guys have asked me about this. But our name's Ministry of Supply, and if you've ever watched James Bond movies before, my favorite part is when Bond goes to see Q and he goes down into the labs over there. Well, it turns out that Q is actually based on a real person named Charles Fraser Smith, and his cover was the British Ministry of Supply. So you can think of us as that lab over there and the geeks in the lab coats. So that's what we're doing. And so we started our brand off actually on Kickstarter about 7 years ago, and we launched with our marquee product. We call it the Apollo shirt. It's built off of a material that NASA uses in the lining of spacesuits to keep astronauts comfortable in the extremes of space. And we figured out a way to apply that into materials for dress shirts. So it helps buffer your skin temperature. And we took it to Kickstarter. And one of the great things about Kickstarter, especially back in 2012 when it was really starting to get some momentum, was that it's a community that really values technology and design. It's early adopters, but also it's a very vocal and engaged community. So we launched our video, as most do, and what we saw was there was some pretty good engagement. But we're getting some comments from our customers, and this is kind of what the first couple of weeks look like. Nice, kind of steady week-over-week growth, but we're seeing these comments from some customers. One talking about, everyone's talking about this kind of the purgatory on the subway, waiting for your subway train to pick you up and sweating through your shirt before you got to the office. And then there's a lot of questions about how does this thermoregulatory material work? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And this is something that was really interesting about Kickstarter, was when you launch a product, you're getting feedback in real time based on what is resonating with the backers and the community there, and then also the questions that they have. So in the middle of our campaign, we actually recut our video. We took in those points of inspiration from our customers talking about that subway commute, but then also really tried to figure out how can we make this explanation, this space technology, something that's very accessible. So I'll show you a little clip right here. Oh, can you press play on this one?
A typical workday morning. The commute, the summer heat. You walk into the office sweating, and it shows. Your body needs to adapt. Your current dress shirt just doesn't help. At Ministry of Supply, we're changing that. We're excited to launch the Apollo dress shirt. It's simply the most comfortable dress shirt you'll ever wear. To design the perfect shirt, we started from scratch. We needed something completely new. A high-performance fabric that dynamically adapts to your active lifestyle. So we went to the labs. As MIT engineers, we designed spacesuits that regulate astronauts' body temperature using what's called a phase change material. we used that same technology in the blend that became Apollo. We're literally taking technology from space and putting it in your shirt. Imagine you're outside on a hot day. Apollo has the power to actually absorb and release heat, like a battery. And by pulling that heat away from your body, it leaves you feeling much cooler. So when you get back into that AC'd office, instead of shivering, it releases that heat back to you. This keeps your skin 1 to 2 degrees closer to where it should be. This is huge.
So after this, this is what our trajectory was in terms of backer support. And then after the change in the video, we really were able to shift that. And a lot of that was attributed to, one, better communication, and then also for press to actually understand how to message this product. And so we learned a lot of things. You're gonna have to forgive the production quality. We were college students with like a DSLR and an intern. So that was kind of where we started. But what we learned was that it was a very kind of low quality video from a production standpoint, but really focused on iterating the communication and the messaging. So we ended up becoming the most funded fashion project at the time, and it really set kind of the basis for the rest of our business. One of the interesting things about Kickstarter is the video is such a key part of it. It's really the focus of the landing page, and what you can see here is, one, we got nearly 200,000 views of these videos, and people are watching nearly a full 2-minute video about a product. And it's not often that you're able to get that type of engagement. And so we found that the video communication on Kickstarter, there was a lot to be learned from that. You can talk about, one, what's the problem that you're trying to solve? What's the product solution itself? But then also the process. How does the product create it? And this type of depth isn't something that we get to do often, but we found that our early adopter customers really wanted to engage with that. We launched another campaign. We did some socks. We initially launched it with actually this pressure mapping that we had done on the insole. Turns out customers really cared about the fact that we use coffee grounds to absorb odors and keep them odor-free. And so this ended up becoming, the way we pivoted the marketing messaging based on customer comments. And this is really what helped this campaign do really well. So in our first couple years, we really relied on Kickstarter and PR to really drive awareness for the brand. And a couple things we learned, again, were use those comments to actually guide and iterate your messaging. And the other part being, how do you keep your creative nimble enough that you're not, there isn't this kind of like debt that's in, I've shot this, big video, but I can't recut it and be able to tune the messaging. So figuring out a way to do that. And then lastly, just really looking at video as a product education tool, being able to explain the technology and go that layer deeper. And then, just like the folks from NBC were talking about yesterday, you get to this point where you're trying to figure out how do you scale, and we were kind of struggling. How do we get beyond Kickstarter? We were relying on a lot of podcasts, press as well, but display wasn't working for us. It's hard to kind of capture the whole communication or the whole value proposition, just one picture. And so we went through this process. We went through kind of a rebranding, and we shifted a little bit away from kind of that technology story, more towards a lifestyle. And you can kind of see this here. These are some snapshots from our Instagram a couple of years ago. But here, what we were talking about is dress smart, work smarter, and it's kind of this idea of how can we make work clothing cool, and it turned out, we have 7 stores across the country. We actually kind of tuned what they looked like to be a little bit like a WeWork. The idea was people could come in, they could, you could work while you shopped. Turns out work leisure isn't cool. People aren't excited about talking about work or coming in and shopping and working. So this was a thing where, while this had worked in a lot of other arenas, mixing banks and coffee shops, et cetera, it didn't work in this use case. And one of the interesting things was, when we had done a lot of our kind of email appends, we had actually looked at our whole subscriber base. And we thought our customer base was, late 20s, early 30s, and we kind of shifted our brand based on that. But it turns out that if you actually looked at real purchases, the actual customer age is 10 years older. And knowing that, we were able to shift our strategy and really focus on the fact that our customers were looking for a premium product. They had experienced some products that break down over time, and they actually did want to hear about that product messaging. So that was kind of phase 2 of our company. And we learned lifestyle communication can be crowded. And that product marketing for a brand like us was really important, and that was part of our DNA, and we didn't want to lose that. And what we looked back at is like, what was the process that got us here? In the web sector, in a lot of software development, they talk about waterfall versus agile. Back in the day when there was like box software, people developed software like this, which is a waterfall. You design it, you build, and then you release it. And the challenge is that you're just going on this one trajectory, and if you're off by a degree, by the end of it, you could be off by several miles in terms of what the product expectation is and what customers are looking for and what you've actually built. And Agile is all about these sprints, right? Going through these mini cycles in a shorter period of time, but constantly validating, is this what the customer wants? And we really wanted to go back to this. We're engineers by background, and in the fashion industry, this isn't typical. It's actually, most of the time, it's, a designer designs something, and it goes runway to rack, right? And the end is, there's a lot of product that gets, liquidated at the end of the season. So this is how we wanted to really stay on target and make sure we were designing what our customers were looking for. And so one of the things that we've done is, over time, we've built this repository of not just our customers' information interactions, but really what their comments are and thoughts about our product. So every time a customer returns a product or communicates with customer service, and even on Facebook, we'll tag this as a line item, and it's a Google Doc. We call it our quantified empathy doc. It's super simple, but what it allows us to do is we can tag an issue or comment a customer has based on, do they like the fit, is there a durability issue, etc. And then we have this kind of like TLDR of like, what was the main issue the customer had? And what it turns out is it gives us this way to look at our entire product line as a snapshot, look at this heat map over here, and figure out what is resonating with customers. And we actually use this as a point of inspiration for our advertising, because we know what is resonating with our customers, what they're talking about, and what are the things that they really believe in, and also what are the issues that they're having, so we can improve that from a product standpoint. So this is something that is really critical to our iterative process. So this is how we look at how we develop product. We often look at product market fit, right? And it usually goes from looking at the customer, designing a product, and then creating it, right? But what we realized was in this linear process that was happening before, our designers and developers weren't talking directly to our marketing team. And what was happening was the story was getting lost. And so as a team, we developed something called innovation marketing, and it's really this idea of get the designers and the marketers working directly together. So I spend my time actually 50-50 between product development and product marketing. And the idea is that it really helps us connect those two. Quantified empathy, we were just talking about, is that way that we are able to unlock and unearth those insights from the customers. So what are those problems that they're having? Much like the Quick team, how do we make sure that we're rooting the product in some behavior, some challenge the customer's having, and trying to make sure that we're solving that. So that's what that quantified empathy does, and customer service is also a key part of this. But this is how we see this balance between product development and innovation marketing, is what we say, as we say. So I want to talk about kind of like how do we actually apply this? So we looked back and said, let's rethink our stores. Let's make sure that our customers can not just see the product itself, but get to see how it's made. So this is our store in Newbury Street in Boston. We have a 3,000-pound knitting machine, and it allows us to print these blazers over here on the side in real time in 90 minutes. A customer can go to this little kind of kiosk over here, select their colors, and we'll be able to actually knit the garment for them. It's kind of like 3D printing for clothing, but it's a very experiential process for the customer. And they get to see us developing prototypes of products as well, and they're right there, and they're seeing the whole process firsthand. we redid a lot of our static imagery, particularly for paid, for display ads, because with these kind of static shots, even if you've got someone running, that kind of shot has become overplayed now in the industry. And so we wanted to figure out, well, how do you communicate that this is a machine washable suit, for example? You don't have to worry about this suit getting completely wet and washed. And so we've developed a kind of a language around these images that really show the product in action. And then we actually went back to Kickstarter. This was about a year ago, and we launched a new product for us. It's a wearable device. It's basically a heated jacket that actually monitors your body temperature, the external temperature, but also your acceleration, so your motion. So one of our insights was that actually, if you wait for your body to become hot and to turn the heat down, you're gonna become too hot. There's a 15-minute delay. But if you actually correlate it with our walking speed, you can actually predict that you will be hot soon and turn the heaters down. So this is a little video about that, if we can play the video. Hi, I'm Gihan, and this is Aman, and we started Ministry of Supply about 5 years ago, right here in Boston. So we know a thing or two about being cold all the time.
We tried everything, puffy jackets, tons of layers, and none of it worked.
So we decided to invent something better and much warmer.
It's an intelligent heated jacket, our most ambitious project ever.
So to create the intelligent heating system, we started off with 3 carbon fiber heating elements. The system is controlled by our custom chip, which allows us to integrate our temperature sensors, accelerometer, and also communicate to an application over Bluetooth. To use the jacket, it's super simple. You just plug in this USB battery, and the jacket is in automatic mode. To control the temperature, simply turn the heat up or down, or leave it just as is. The way our machine learning algorithm works is it looks at what is the temperature that you want maximum heat, and then what's also the temperature at which you want the jacket to shut off. Based on your input, we can create the ideal performance model for you. And over time, the jacket will learn your preferences, so it'll get better the more and more you use it.
I think one of the coolest moments is when you take our most recent sample and you pick it up and it automatically turns on, or even cooler is when you walk outside and it automatically turns up, and this idea that it knows what you want before you can even tell it.
It has a 2-layer waterproof breathable membrane. It allows your vapors to pass through, but not rain droplets. It has 100-gram recycled polyester insulation, which actually provides a little bit of odor control because it has coffee grounds embedded in it. There's also a very low-profile waterproof zipper, as well as a durable water repellent to keep the jacket dry. We wanted something that looked just as comfortable in the city, but also had the protection for the mountain. To keep a really clean profile, we use ultrasonic baffling to keep the insulation in place. But it also allows the whole garment to stretch, which is really key. The jacket also features an easily removable hood. It has a Qi charging mat, so if you take your wireless smartphone, slide it into the smartphone pocket next to it, it'll automatically start to charge.
It's taken us a few years of dozens of prototypes, countless hours of garment development, but also kind of technology development to figure out how to create each of the components for these, hundreds of wash cycles on the machine to make sure that heating pads don't erode, color fastness tests, washability tests, everything you can imagine to figure out how to make each of these components so that when we bring it all together, it's truly both beautiful and indestructible, which is a tough combination to find.
This is the first time that we felt we could actually create a garment that got better the more you used it, and make a garment that does a better job at what you want it to do. So for the jacket, it's keep you warm. That's what the future of kind of wearable technology should be. It can seamlessly work into our day and in many cases anticipate the functionality that we need. So that was our Mercury jacket. It did quite well. It was featured now in the Museum of Modern Art, and we're actually presenting at South by Southwest later this week with the jacket. One of my favorite features is we figured out a way for Alexa to actually be able to turn the jacket on. So if you're walking out the door and you're wondering what the weather is, you can tell Alexa to preheat your jacket. But like you can see, this is a new category, and one of the reasons we wanted to go to Kickstarter was we had taken this 5-year hiatus, and it's this community that really values technology and design, and it allowed us to figure out those features that really matter to them and help us communicate that, in terms of press, and even tune the product before it went to production. So we've tried to take those principles to our mainline product and the way we generally market. And so one of the things that we've started to do is we use a lot of digital rendering, for example, and what we're doing now is we're actually showing customers kind of pre-renders of product, asking them feedback. You can do Instagram polls, for example, and get insights as to whether someone likes a silhouette, what their preferences are. And what we found is, in most cases, we're 90% of the way there, but there's those reasons not to buy, or those little things that actually help boost the storytelling that really come out through those gut responses that customers give you. And so we're trying to pull based on our experience from crowdfunding, which was having a community that wants to be involved in your product development. The other thing is, well, now that we know those videos worked really well in terms of product education and showing how the technology works, and now with a lot of Instagram video and Facebook video, we've been able to port that over to other channels as well. So let's play this video right here. We've got a couple videos, one that show kind of these side-by-side tests so customers can see the product in action. Yeah, we can play that one, yeah. And then this one's more of kind of a lifestyle video, but one of the things we heard from a lot of customers was, it's such a challenge to just get out of the door in the morning, especially if I'm traveling somewhere else, I've got kids, that there's a lot of different things that are going on, but my clothes need to look crisp out the door. And so this story we kept on hearing from our customers, and that's what we actually turned into this little video over here. So we have a variety of different ads that kind of show, very much in the kind of the Kickstarter way, one, explain the technology, and then show the application of the product in real life. Yeah. And so we only started doing this actually about 7-8 months ago, and the result was kind of astounding. It allowed us to actually cut our CPA in half, and we were able to shift towards first purchase profitability. And a lot of that is through this combination of, one, making sure that the product was what the customer is looking for through that engagement, but then also that we were tuning the messaging to exactly what they were looking for. So I think kind of the big thing we've learned here is that we need to think about product development and marketing as kind of one, that they should be integrated together. And when they work in concert and your teams are working together, you can really get to a kind of a true product market fit. So yeah, so that's all we had to talk about. But if there's any questions.
Yeah, thanks. That was cool. But we have time for questions as well.
Yeah.
Good morning, Andrew from Cicerone, and I didn't go to MIT, but my brother-in-law did, so we can have a conversation. So, do you have any protected IP? Because this is a great licensable technology, I would think, to any other, to a North Face or anyone like that.
Yeah, a lot of our IP lies around the machine learning algorithm that we use on the jacket and the circuitry that we use there. And then for our robotic knitting, we've recently launched a system that allows us to actually tailor garments at point of sale. So it's something where we can actually pre-print garments in advance, and then we use a heat gun basically on a robot to actually tailor the garment in real time. So that's really where we've tried to focus our IP on, is these things that change the experience for the customer, whether that's through wearables or the retail experience. check under your seats right now.
Gihan,